Welcome to Elmhurst, our community. We're here at the Community Bank of Elmhurst. I'm Ken Bartels, your host. And today we're talking about public art in Elmhurst. You've seen it, or you've seen some of it. And we've got two folks here who absolutely know a lot about it. We've got Alison Dondlinger, who's the chair of the Public Arts Commission, and Maryann Gorski, who's a member of the Public Arts Commission. And welcome to you both to Elmhurst, our community.
Thanks for having us.
There's like almost 20 commissions and 100, 150 volunteers on the various commissions, but what exactly is the mission of the Public Arts Commission?
I think our mission is one of those things that really evolves over time, but the primary focus being bringing as much public art to our community to enjoy as possible, while also being very aware of the extreme importance of the economic impact that art can bring to our community, striking that balance between the beautification and really bringing more consumers to Elmhurst.
I think public art, somewhat, art's always in the eye of the beholder, but public art as it relates to a city commission. So you want to bring more, but what exactly are you trying to bring?
Do you want to start? Do you want me to start? I can't see you behind me, so I don't want to talk over you if you don't want to jump in.
Well, we, like Alison said, we are trying to bring consumers to Elmhurst, to downtown, to the other business districts, and make Elmhurst a happy place. We do understand that not everyone can like every piece of art, so our art is varied, and we want everybody to at least like about half of our pieces.
So how long has the Public Arts Commission been in place?
So it was founded in 2018.
Okay.
I really think in the last couple years, though, I feel like COVID was kind of like frozen in time, right? And in the last couple years, I think that with the leadership of Betsy Golterman and some of the support of aldermen like Marty Deuter, who brought the commission front and center and sponsored it, I think we've evolved quickly, and I think we're doing a lot of tremendous, exciting things. Umbrella Sky would be one that I think really put us on the map, drove that partnership between City Center and drawing people to our town, while also bringing this really unique exhibit to Elmhurst that was started in Europe. So.
Yes, and our mayor, Scott Levin, 100% supports the public arts. He was very adamant when he became mayor that this was one of the commissions that he wanted instated. And as Alison mentioned, the Umbrella Sky, and if people don't know what that is the umbrellas in the city center that goes through the alley joining York and Addison. And there are three installations of that, one further north and one in Wilder Park. And it was expanded from our original idea because the businesses so embraced the project and 100% supported it.
So both of you served on the Economic Development Commission for a period of time. How large is the Public Arts Commission?
So there are 9 of us. We come from various backgrounds, which I think is very important. So like Maryann has a business background, I have a sales background. We have people that are artists themselves, Jason Piat, who was instrumental or the creator of the First Responders Memorial, John Nestor, who's a former art teacher from York High School, Danny Polumsky, former alderman. We have a grant writer, Claire O'Shea, Annette Armstrong. We have representation from the Elmhurst Art Museum, Ann Quinn Kelly. So Karen Lee, another business owner. Did I leave anybody off? There's 9 of us. I'm going around the table at our last meeting. But I really think that diverse mindset, that diversity of thought is so important when we're really making considerations for what type of art, when you were asking about that. What pieces do we want to attract? What mediums do we want to attract? We really need to serve as the voice of our community when it comes to that. We do get aldermanic input as well, but as far as the 9 of us serving on that board, it's a great commission. There's really good energy, and everybody's really excited about the work we're doing.
Well, I think when I think of public art in Elmhurst, obviously it's not a new concept. There's been
No.
public art in Elmhurst.
Right.
When I think about maybe the oldest piece is probably the mural inside the post office,
Yeah.
Yes.
which dates back to the 30s, I believe. But then some of the newer pieces, you mentioned Jason's First Responders sculpture just dedicated this past September. Is there an inventory now? Do we sort of have an idea of how much public art there is? I think the more recent ones we can pretty much name, and we
rattle off,
probably
sure.
will in a second. But how much is there?
You know, that's a really great question, and it's like a living, breathing organism that's constantly changing. I mean, I think even when we were discussing with you before this, when you really think about how much art's in town, you're like, oh wait, and one more, and one more, and one more. In the last few years, that's really been a primary objective of ours, is getting all of that organized, creating an overarching public arts commission plan. What is the future of art in Elmhurst, right? So driving murals and driving sculptures and bringing those things to our community are great. But what is the plan for that? So creating an art inventory is something that's very important, and more important is keeping it up to date.
Sure.
Our ultimate goal, it would be great if it's happening at such warp speed that we can't keep tabs on it. But yeah, so actually the Elmhurst Art Museum has a great art tour, and it's all live on their website. So you can download a QR code or click on a QR code and actually take a walking tour of all of the art in Elmhurst.
I think what's interesting for me though is the Public Arts Commission is trying to, foster more public art,
Yeah.
and certain kinds of public art, and has a certain amount of influence in murals and the kind of, but at the same time, private businesses and even private citizens are adding public art. I think of the business up on Industrial Drive
The
who
Globe.
purchased the globe that sat outside of Willis Tower for years.
Yeah.
Flew it out here via helicopter, and now it's on Industrial Drive when you drive up, and how did that get there?
Yeah.
That's obviously public art, and I'm guessing half of Elmhurst doesn't even know it's there.
No, it's there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there are several indoor public art exhibits too. The Elmhurst Public Library has the Eric Carle collection and the Eleanor Hookham Wave, which Eleanor was the driving force of our Elmhurst Art
Yeah.
Museum. So she is
Correct.
key in our Elmhurst art history. Elmhurst University has a fantastic art movement
Yep.
displayed in their library. And the post office, like you mentioned, has the workman's mural. And I think many people only think of public art as outdoor art, but that's not
Well,
true.
in recent times, I think the perception would be that it is outdoor art.
Yes.
I mean, the bold mural
Yeah.
on the
Be Elmhurst.
Recreation
Yeah.
Center, on the tracks, the public art next to the Larch parking deck. I don't know off the top of my head what that's called.
That's the portal.
The portal.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And the Phase 3 brewing
Yeah. Yeah.
mural.
Yeah.
Those are the recent ones. We already mentioned the sculpture at the Fire Station number 2. Are there any in the works right now?
There are things in the works. We're so excited. We actually just had an RFP request for a proposal and a call for art go out to the community. Not just our community. When I say community, I mean the art community in general. But we're working on one for the Adelaide parking garage. And our goal is we're actually going to do a mural. This is a little bit different and unique on the pillars. So we're hoping to create, in essence, a cultural corridor between the museum campus. I like to think we have our own museum campus of Elmhurst Library and the Art Museum in Wilder Park, Conservatory, Wilder Mansion, and then link that actually through City Center and then ultimately ending at the History Museum.
Okay.
Yes, and we do not seek out business partnerships until the project is announced. If somebody is hoping to sponsor something, They want to see a concrete idea before they're going to invest in it, and that is what Umbrella Sky was about. The jumping on the bandwagon of the Elmhurst businesses was fantastic. I've never seen anybody support one project so well, and it really opened the door for us.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask whether the Umbrella Sky came first and the business involvement came second, or vice versa, but I know that the 3 locations all have individual sponsors.
The project came first. It was actually an Elmhurst resident who saw a exhibition in Portugal where it was founded, and she researched it and brought it to the attention of the commission, and she wanted this done, and we embraced it, and then City Center embraced it.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, we're going into year 3 of this, and as soon as the umbrellas go up downtown, the folks show up with the cameras, and and brides have pictures. Before we go to break, there are criteria that I know murals. There's criteria for murals. Are there criteria for other things as well? Is there an approval process that if I want to put up something?
Yes.
I come to you and say, here's what I want to do.
Yes, absolutely. So, well, I've heard you have great taste, so you probably don't even need to ask us. It would just be stamped right through.
That's true. I have no talent, but great taste.
Whatever Ken wants to do is totally fine. It's approved without even a meeting. But yeah, there's a formal mural application that comes before the commission, and part of that strategic plan is actually creating the criteria for the rest of the art mediums: sculpture, temporary, permanent. In 2018, when the commission was established, the focus was on murals, and they were on murals for businesses that were seeking the opportunity to pay for them themselves and put the mural, like phase 3, right? But what does that look like when the city wants to, bring murals to one of their own buildings? What does that language need to be? For the portal sculpture, there's not necessarily a framework in place right now for sculptures in our town. So kind of completing that, rounding out that plan is actually something that we're working on right now.
And it's not just the initiation of the project, it's for the upkeep, and especially murals.
Maintenance and
Murals, which are paint, and mostly, the paint takes a wear and tear, so there is upkeep that the artist needs to make sure it's taken care of in years to come.
Well, I think too that the whole process of getting them done, and then as I've found, just walking around, and there's not much that explains what it is, or in some cases it's not even who did it.
Exactly.
And I'm saying to myself as a private citizen, if we're gonna do this, we need to make sure that people know what it is, or how it is, or what the interpretation of it is.
So it's actually a really interesting point. A lot of the partnerships that we've done with Cleve Carney and COD, even the Mexican Cultural Center when we had Olmec on Spring Road,
correct.
They actually attach QR codes to that work. So when Elmhurst or any community has the opportunity to partner in those exhibitions, like right now they have one coming up called Hokusai, and we will be finding a way to actually participate in that. They'll have these window clings that we can put throughout the community that are in the Edo art style. Hokusai is the wave, a very famous Japanese artist, but they actually QR code them, and then at the end of those temporary art exhibits, we can actually collect that data. How many people stop by, how many people scan them even, and then it actually provides information on what the exhibit is. So yeah, but in terms of like attaching those to murals themselves, I don't think that has come up, so that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because the Prairie Path sculpture, when the first time I saw it and drove by, I have to admit one of the first things that crossed my mind is that's a problem waiting to happen.
Oh.
I was concerned about
You were worried
Graffiti.
about the
graffiti or
yeah.
Yes.
But my point of even bringing this up is there appears to be tremendous respect for
Yes.
all of this public art, because I can't think of any example, at least that I've heard about, of any kind of defacement of any of the public art in Elmhurst.
Yeah.
We were concerned about that with the portal, and it is probably about 15 feet high, and it's a grid work of beautiful colored glass, and it looks like it's inviting people to climb on it, but we have not had problems with it. One of the sculptures, the Sky Cube, that belongs to the Art Museum and is part of their outdoor campus, it has not ever been defaced, but
It's not got all the wood.
Yeah. Yeah. On that note, we're going to go to break. So we're talking about public art in Elmhurst. You've seen some of it. You probably haven't seen all of it, but you probably should. We'll be right back.
My name is Rich Reichert. I'm president and CEO of Community Bank of Elmhurst. We are a community bank located in Elmhurst, Illinois. We have 2 locations.
Community Bank was created because there was a need in the community for personal banking. We joined the Chamber in 1993 when the bank was formed.
And we were a member of the Chamber of Commerce on the day we opened. Our business is unique because we value our customers and our community first.
We exist for our customers, and we know that what their needs are what we need to provide.
The best part of being a member of the Elmhurst Chamber is getting to know the people who run the businesses here in town and make this town as great as it is.
The Elmhurst Chamber is the prominent business organization in Elmhurst.
The bank and the Elmhurst Chamber work together.
We're based in Elmhurst. We serve Elmhurst.
We know Elmhurst. We are Elmhurst.
We care about this town.
Welcome back to Elmhurst Art Community. We're talking with Maryann and Alison about public art in Elmhurst and the Public Arts Commission. And I'm curious if you have a favorite of the existing public art. Do you each have a favorite? But I'll start with you, Maryann.
my favorite, it changes daily, but for the
Daily.
most part, it is the portal, which is the circular sculpture. It was the first project I worked on with the commission, and number one, the sculpture is beautiful, but the way the commission came together with the city and one of the primary businesses that was extremely instrumental in the installation of it. The portal is a extremely heavy, very heavy project, and we had a lot of underlying below ground structure supports that the business just embraced it and helped us make the exhibit real. I don't think the commission knew what we were getting into at the beginning, but the business did know how to do the structure for it, and it is a highly successful, beautiful structure.
Yeah, I mean, the portal was before I joined the commission, but Maryann's work on that is quite legendary. So people talk about it all the time, that she was very instrumental in supporting that project and getting the partners for it. So just to give you some extra love for that. I jokingly say that, like, having a favorite piece of art is like having a favorite child. Like, you probably secretly have one, but you're not supposed to tell anybody. No, I'm just kidding. I'll let my 3 kids determine who they think the favorite is in our house. No, I really, probably some of the early projects that I worked on, or Olmec, I really appreciated the partnership between the Mexican Cultural Center. We received a grant to actually do part of that work. And then, Amy Schiller and Schiller Real Estate through At Properties funded the rest of that project, and I was appreciative of that. And then watching that come to life in more of a, like being part of something bigger than just our own community. There was 33 Olmec sculptures throughout DuPage County. And loved being part of something like that. One of the first things I said in my own head when I joined the commission was, wouldn't it be so cool if there was something that ran along the Prairie Path and connected all of our towns? And then lo and behold,
There was.
there was. And they were just great to work with, and I just thought that project really came together nicely. And then to turn right over to Phase 3 and have that mural. Evan is the owner of Phase 3, and I just was so appreciative that somebody from the business community really stepped up as like one of the first business murals in town. That's no small investment, and for him to put the money into that was just, I thought, really impactful in leading the charge on murals.
The energy on Spring Road to support the public arts is amazing.
I have a couple, actually.
Okay.
They don't change.
I didn't ask you. I should have asked you.
They don't change daily. I was gonna share anyway.
Yeah.
I love the first responders memorial. I loved hearing from Jason all the advanced thought in terms of orientation and driving by at night and feeling like it's moving as you're going by, and just all of the work that went into before the process even began. So I love that. But one that doesn't get a lot of attention for me is the Niebuhr statue, the Niebuhr sculptor at Elmhurst University, which is done by a gentleman by the name of Robert Burks. And the significance of that is if you watch press conferences in the Oval Office, you will see busts of Robert Kennedy and Reagan and others done by Robert Burks almost without fail, regardless of who's in the White House. And so Burks arguably might be the more internationally known sculptor of anything that we have in town. But it's just sort of there. It has been there for quite a while now already. But
that's so interesting that, I mean, you learn something new every day,
Yes,
truly.
yes.
But I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but you are a huge supporter of the art community in our town, and you were fundamental in getting Jason's sculpture to come to life. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
I'm not supposed to interview you, but if I were.
That's true. As I recall, you signed a waiver that you wouldn't do it. I do want to ask, though, when you drive around town, do you have in your mind locations that you say to yourself, boy, something right there would really be spectacular?
Most definitely, and I think I'm almost afraid to say, because some of them are on sides of businesses, and there is one of the things we go back and forth with on the mural, quote unquote, rules. You can't really put the name of your business on the mural, and it's hard for a business to invest in a mural if you can't advertise. A florist could do subtle advertising by putting flowers in their mural, or a vet or an animal supply shop could put pictures of animals, but you can't say your name. So that's hard. So there's a couple spots that, yes, murals like that don't say the name, but to put a sculpture right next to a playground, that just definitely invites climbing on the art.
Well, I think it's interesting too, and these don't qualify as public art per se, but every once in a while a building will be demolished. And what will happen is that the wall of the adjoining building
becomes exposed.
And there's this advertising mural. The only one I can think of that exists in town, I could be wrong, the Carousel Flowers building on York Road has an example of that. I know it isn't public art, but it is very definitely public awareness.
Yes.
It's the kind of thing that used to be commonplace.
Sure.
Yes.
And
Right.
now I'm guessing it's probably not even approved.
No, well,
But-
sign ordinances and things like that
Exactly.
prevent that. But it's been an interesting conversation for us when you talk about advertising and using murals for advertising. There's a group in town that's newly formed called the Elmhurst Art Collective. And the two gentlemen that have started it, Sergio Farfan and James Crummell. Sergio is an artist and he does a ton of work in the city. And so I've sat down with him a couple times and had conversations about murals and how do you get businesses to invest in murals when you can't advertise, when you can't reference your business. And the city of Chicago, you actually cannot have any advertising in any of your murals at all. So that is also the same rules and regulations for the city of Chicago, who has a thriving public arts, inventory. So he said, really, the artists themselves is the attraction. So the businesses, are looking and seeking out opportunities to create murals, attract these artists in, because that then in turn attracts conversation and people to their place of business, which I thought was a really interesting approach and one that I really like. And I'm hoping that, people in our community embrace, businesses embrace, that it's the art itself that brings people out. People follow these artists and then they want to come out and have a cup of coffee down the street or shop in your community. So I like that take on it.
Yes.
Well, and I think as we discover spaces that cry out for something,
Yeah.
there can perhaps be almost some recruitment, if
Yes.
you will, or artists looking to showcase their work,
Yeah.
this kind of thing. Short and long range goals for the commission?
Well, the short goal is definitely the mural that Alison spoke about on Adelaide, just on the south side of the tracks near the railroad station. That's hopefully going to be complete this
And
summer.
that's going to be on the pillars. I
The
can't
actual
remember.
pillars, so there's-
Are they horizontal or?
They're a little bit of both.
Yeah,
okay.
but most of the proposals we're seeing are on the vertical portion of it, but there's, I want to say at least 18 of them, if not 20 pillars. So it should be really unique and interesting, I think, for that area. Yeah.
When does art become more commonplace in the sense that people accept it as part of the landscape, as opposed
Yeah.
to, gee, why is that there?
This is such an existential question. It is so deep today.
Yeah, it
Like
is. But I think it's when you just have a number of pieces of varied styles and everybody can find a different favorite, and then when there's one that is not their favorite, they are just outnumbered by the ones that are their favorites. And that you start to look for them, and you see a blank wall or an empty park or an empty corner, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah, I want to put something there.
Yeah.
I mean, that is definitely one of our goals, right? Our long-term goal is to populate our community, infuse our community with art, that when you see a blank space, you're like, oh, what would be cool there? And I'd love to get those emails or those, people start to really think about that. That would be great. I would love that community engagement in that sense.
The last question, the Umbrella Sky,
Yeah.
which you were instrumental in bringing, year 3 coming up just in a month or two. Is there going to be something after Umbrella Sky, or is it going to be Umbrella Sky .2? So I presume something's continuing after that.
Yeah, I'm sure City Center's really embraced that and kind of taken the ball and run with that. I think there might be some really interesting collaboration ideas to be done with even Elmhurst Art Museum. There's the one structure that sits just outside of the museum. It might be really interesting to partner with some artists and find some different ways to use those structures. Since they did invest in something like that. But I would love to see that conversation kind of evolve and where that's going to go. Yeah.
Well, it'll probably need to evolve here reasonably quick.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we've been working with City Center on this Hokusai project that's coming starting in May, and they've been a great partner in that as well. So yeah, they've been great to work with.
Well, I've worked with both of you on the Economic Development Commission in
Yes.
the past, and that
Yes.
was enjoyable. Maryann is with me on the Community Bank
I know
of
you guys
Elmhurst
have your matching
board.
pins, yes.
So thank you both very much for being here. I very much appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having
Thank you,
us.
Ken. Thank you.
This has been Elmhurst Art Community. We've been talking about public art and public art in Elmhurst. The weather's warming up. Go out and see it. Be thinking about what you'd like to see, because I know the commission would like to know that.
Yes, yes.
For Elmhurst Art Community, I'm Ken Bartels, and we'll see you again.
My name is Rich Reichert. I'm President and CEO of Community Bank of Elmhurst. We are a community bank located in Elmhurst, Illinois. We have 2 locations.
Community Bank was created because there was a need in the community for personal banking. We joined the Chamber in 1993 when the bank was formed.
And we were a member of the Chamber of Commerce on the day we opened. Our business is unique because we value our customers and our community first.
We exist for our customers, and we know that what their needs are what we need to provide.
The best part of being a member of the Elmhurst Chamber is getting to know the people who run the businesses here in town and make this town as great as it is.
The Elmhurst Chamber is the prominent business organization in Elmhurst.
The bank and the Elmhurst Chamber work together.
We're based in Elmhurst. We serve Elmhurst.
We know Elmhurst. We are Elmhurst.
We care about this town.